Riches of Divine Grace, Part 11, 31. The fullness of the Godhead dwells in Jesus and He lives in you. There are at least six distinctive revelations regarding the relationship between the Godhead and the believer. First, the believer is in God the Father. Second, God the Father is in the believer. The believer is in the Son. The Son is in the believer. The believer is in the Spirit. The Spirit is in the believer. Such ideas as this are mind boggling and go beyond human ability to fully understand. This is why the Apostle Paul calls the in Christ position a mystery. The great truth that grows out of these verses is based on the Lord's Prayer in John chapter 17, verse 21. The truth is that Jesus prayed that believers would be one with Him and the Father. The great truth is that the believer needs to know Christ is in the Father, the believer is in Christ, and Christ is in the believer. However, what is basically understood from these verses is that Christ is the fullness of the Godhead. As we learn Him as our life, all these other things come along automatically. Our relationship to the Son is plainly written in at least seven different connotations. First, the believer is a member of Christ's body. Second, the believer is to Christ as the branch is to the vine. Third, the believer is to Christ as a stone in the building of which Christ is the cornerstone. Fourth, the believer is to Christ as a sheep in his flock. Fifth, the believer is a part of that company that forms the bride of Christ. Sixth, the believer is a priest in a kingdom over which Christ is the high priest forever. Seven, the believer is part of the new creation over which Christ, as the last Adam, is the head. The blessed truths of who the believer is in Christ represent at least a basic part of the glorious gospel which Paul brought. These are highlights of the final gospel, and unless a born again believer or new creation believer has the truths preached and taught to him, he can never become all the final gospel allows him to be. While many believers are beginning to see these truths as basic to their relationship with Christ, the religious world still lags behind this vivid understanding that Christ must be the life of the human. If this is not known or understood, that human will never grow into the potential fullness of his creation. Because of this one important truth, Christianity will not and cannot be a religion. The self works of religion can never produce a rebirthing. All religion can do is continually repair the old life of the believer. God never attempted to repair the old life of the sinner. He knew they needed a new life, and that could only come by a birthing. To God be the glory. God bless you.